What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Leadoff Show. We have two slates today. There's a 3-game slate that locks at 12:10 Central, 1:10 Eastern, and the normal main slate tonight at 6:05, 7:05 Eastern. I usually would just skip over the 3-game slate. I'm certainly playing it, but for the video, I would skip over it. But there's some really good contests on it. We can talk about it real quick. It's going to be the Braves, Tigers, Brewers, Twins, Giants, Cardinals, and Spencer Strider's pitching, so he'll probably be 100% owned. I think. So really on this slate, with 3-game slates, really just don't be afraid to get different. I mean, you don't need a lot to go your way to like really catapult yourself. If you make one kind of bold stance and it works out, then you'll do just fine. So that being said, we have Strider, Ober, and Jordan Montgomery. As kind of like the main three, I would think. I don't really consider DeSclafani, Ray, or Lorenzen on this slate. So between those big three, I think what I'll probably do is obviously I'll play 2 of them, but then I'll take a bat or 2 or even a mini stack versus the one I don't play. I think the Twins and Braves will be pretty popular. The pitchers they're just facing the weaker pitchers. The Cardinals probably after that, maybe a distant third. And it's 30 degrees here in St. Louis and in Minnesota. So I think just kind of overarching, I think that's what I'll probably do is play 2 of Strider, Ober, Montgomery. Maybe take anywhere from 1 to 5 bats against the third one I don't play, and then play one of the just higher projected things. The Braves are probably top on. The Twins are probably not too far behind though. Colin Ray's not any good. I think that's how I'll play it. The Twins prices are crazy low, so don't be afraid to leave salary on the table. If you end up with Strider, Ober, 5 Twins, 2 Braves, 1 Giant, and you have you only spent 48,000, just roll with it. There's no reason to try to mess up your stack because you want to spend 50K. I'd be perfectly fine with just going kind of with whatever works. I wouldn't worry about salary really on this slate. So that's how I plan to play the 3-game slate. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments or on Twitter or something. We can talk about it. I do love the 3-game slate. So like I said, just really don't be afraid to be different. If there's chalk that you like, just play it, like Strider. I mean, versus the Tigers. I mean, I don't expect him to get blown up again. It's the coolest game on the slate. I mean, I'm just going to play him. I'm not even going to think twice about it. But after that, don't be afraid to get different. Or if Strider's the fade you want to go with, you want to go with Ober, Montgomery, stack the Twins, get 2 Cardinals, and then get or go Twins, 5 Twins, 3 Braves, but Ober and Montgomery, I think that's fine too. You're taking on more risk if you fade Strider, but I mean when it works out, you'll be up top all by yourself. So that being said, though, we can go ahead and jump ahead to the main slate. I think we have 12 games tonight, so we've got a good bit to get through. Weather-wise, a little bit of potential rain around Boston. Should be clearing for the Yankees Mets. So nothing really to worry about. We can touch on specific weather each game as we get there. Overall, kind of have a good batch of pitchers around like 8K and up, with not much below that. So I think that we'll probably stay above the 8K range twice on this slate, but we can go ahead and jump in though. First game we got Blue Jays, Orioles, even money right now, or 4.25 total for each. Jose Barrios 8.6K versus Kyle Bradish 6.2K. We just saw the Orioles go nuts on Chris Bassett last night. I don't think there's any reason to play Barrios here. Like I mentioned, we do have plenty of good pitchers, kind of 8K and above, and so there's no reason to play Barrios. We'll probably just gloss over guys like him that we don't have interest in. Bradish falls into that same mold as well. He is cheaper, but I don't think there's any reason to go down this far. Just a low strikeout team, and he's a low strikeout pitcher, so yeah, right around 20% and less than 20%. Look at all this green and strikeouts for the Blue Jays. So not interested there. The Blue Jays as a stack, I don't love taking righties in this ballpark, which is mainly what the Blue Jays are. We saw the Orioles go nuts last night, but it was most of their lefties. That left field wall just scares me from taking righties. Bradish actually has low-ish ISO numbers. A little bit worse for righties, but kind of low overall for what I was expecting from him. I think I'm going to be out on the Blue Jays. I just don't really see the need to go there. You could always take one of these bats. I wouldn't be afraid taking. Well, like I said, though, the righties here with that wall. I guess Vlad, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, just understand. You might get one of those balls to deep left field. That'd be a home run anywhere else, but Camden Yards. So I'm probably out on the Blue Jays. Actually, the more we look at it, over on the Orioles. Barrios really struggles with lefties, always has. So I wouldn't mind a few Orioles here. I think I'm probably off on the full stack. I don't expect them to do what they did last night. But I mean, some of these guys, Gunnar Henderson's been on fire lately. Ryan O'Hearn is still super cheap. Rushman I like. I don't expect these guys at the bottom to just continue to play as well as they have been. Aaron Hicks has been amazing since he came over from New York. Adam Frazier's hit a few home runs. But I just don't expect that to continue. So I think these top 4 batters, I'd probably, I'd be okay with 1 to 3 of them. I think that's kind of where I sit on Baltimore. All right, next game we have the Rockies and the Red Sox. 3.75 total for the Rockies, 5.75 for the Red Sox. Austin Gomber, 5.1K versus Garrett Whitlock, 6.7K. At least Gomber's getting out of Coors Field, but I don't have interest in him. Just low strikeout team with the Red Sox, and you can see Gomber's around 15% strikeout rates. It's just not worth it on this slate. Over on the Red Sox side for Whitlock, yeah, still sub 20% K rate for him as well. A little bit better K matchup though, going up against the Red Sox. I just don't have any interest. I think I already mentioned enough already. That's pretty obvious that I'm going to try to pay up twice. It is nice to see he's kind of got a full leash now. But yeah, I mean, he's hovering around max 5Ks. So I think I could see him getting around 15 in this spot, but I don't think there's really a need to, to try to force him in there. As for bats in this game, Whitlock has been looks like kind of equally bad to both sides, slightly worse versus lefties. We do have wind blowing out to left center here, so I wouldn't mind a few Rockies bats. I think a full stack is probably unnecessary. But McMahon, Diaz, and Nolan Jones are certainly my favorite. They're in the heart of the order. I could see kind of going, just mixing in a couple of those guys would be fine. As for Boston, you got to remember these numbers are inflated a little bit since he pitches in Coors so much, but I still think Boston's probably one of the top stacks on this slate. I like that Duvall's back. He's really expensive though, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5.1K. I like to include the catcher, but that's going to be kind of tough with Connor Wong being so bad. But I think Gomber can definitely be attacked. With anyone specific, yeah, he still struggles versus, really bad versus lefties. So I certainly wouldn't shy away from playing lefty-lefty. That would include Devers and Yoshida against him. I think Devers is a great play here. Yoshida kind of struggles lefty-lefty, but Devers is just as good as he is versus righty. So I like Turner, Devers, Duvall for sure, and then just kind of mix and match Arroyo, Wong, Reyes, whatever you need to do to make your stack work. But I think Red Sox are certainly in a great spot today. Our next game, we got Yankees-Mets, 3.75. Total for the Yankees, 3.75 for the Mets. Garrett Cole, 11K versus Justin Verlander, 8K. The game should play, so I'm not too worried about the rain there, based on what Roth said on the weather report. Cole's been kind of bad lately, though. And for 11K, I don't think it's worth it. Just real quick, I mean, we have Clayton Kershaw versus the White Sox, Valdez versus the Nats, Castillo versus the Marlins, Glasnow versus the A's, So I don't think there's really any need to play Garrett Cole. He'll be unowned if you want to go there. I mean, that's the pivot you want to take. I wouldn't argue it. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he goes out and dominates, but I don't know. Just the K's just hadn't quite been there this year. You can see they had one good 9 start there mixed in, but he gave up 6 runs that game. Yeah, look at these K's. Yeah, a lot lower than we've come to expect from him. Down almost 7%. And then a low K matchup here versus the Mets, sitting around 20%. So I think I'm gonna be out on Cole. He is the most expensive pitcher. If you want to go there and be contrarian, I think that's fine. If you end up on something chalky and want to go there, I wouldn't argue with it, but I think I'm probably gonna be off. For Verlander on the other side, speaking of somebody who's also been bad, look at his K rates this year, down at 20%. I don't know if he's not fully healthy. I don't know if it's pitch clock. I don't know what the deal is. 117 pitches last start out. That was 2 starts ago. I don't know if this hadn't updated. He to start in between. Maybe if this page has more. I do have more interest in Verlander than Cole, strictly because of the price. Okay, yeah, he had that bad start against Atlanta mixed in there. I think I'd lean Verlander over Cole, but it's strictly price. Price dependent. That 3K difference does matter, and this seems a little bit higher K rate. There's kind of a mix of really low and really high. So I think Verlander, for me, if I end up around anything under like 9.2K, maybe 9.4K, I think I go to Verlander here in this spot. As for bats, I think I'm just gonna be out on both sides. No interest in the Yankees versus Verlander. I mean, you could take a shot on somebody. This is pretty high ISO numbers for guys like Bauer and Rizzo, but leaving Yankee Stadium, I don't really have a lot of interest in the lefties. I wish they were in Yankee Stadium. So I'm probably gonna be out there. As for Cole, I mean, he's gonna give up 2 or 3 runs probably. You can try to guess where that's gonna come from, but I don't really like that too much. You can see still really low ISO numbers this year. So I mean, you could take a shot on Alvarez if you need a catcher, but outside of that, I'm probably out. Our next game, we got Pirates Cubs. No total on this one yet. Osvaldo Bido versus Drew Smiley. Don't know anything about Bido. Let's see if he's in here at all. Not in here. So I'm probably gonna be out just anyway on him. Does he even have a price? He doesn't, so he's not even in the player pool. Drew Smiley 7.2K is somewhat interesting. He's been really good at home this year. I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, could he get like 15? Probably so. But fairly low K rates, lower than I was expecting for the Pirates. Only 2 guys above 20% versus lefties. Smiley's a low strikeout pitcher, so yeah, I'm gonna be out on the Pirates. Or out on Smiley. As for the Pirates bats though, 66 degrees, kind of a wind blowing in, crosswind for this game. I think I'm gonna be out on the Pirates as well. Reynolds or Sawinski are my favorite hitters on their team, but they're not very good. Versus lefties, Connor Joe or Rodolfo Castro certainly have good numbers. You could put them in as like a one-off if you need something cheap. 3.4K for both of them. So yeah, I'd be fine with a one-off of either of those guys, but outside of that, I'm probably out. As for the Cubs against Bido, I think the weather is a little bit of a concern. I prefer them versus lefties as well. I don't think I'll full stack. We can at least look at their numbers versus lefties, even though Beto's not in. Or sorry, versus righties. Looks like obviously Morel has been crazy this year. Let's put it on last year too to get more sample size. Yeah, looking at really Suzuki, Happ, Swanson, Morel there in the middle. It's kind of all that's really jumping out at me. But in this weather, I think I don't think I'm going to end up on the Cubs. These prices on these guys are pretty high too, especially Swanson and Morel. So maybe Suzuki, but there's going to be outfielders in better spots. So I think I'm just going to be out there. And next game we got Angels Rangers, 4.39 for the Angels, 5.11 for the Rangers. Reed Detmer 7K versus Andrew Heaney 8.4K. We've definitely liked Detmers a few times this year, but I'm not sure this is the spot for him. Good K rates versus righties, but fairly low K rate for this Rangers team. Only 20%. So I wouldn't be shocked if Detmers goes out. You know, 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 Ks or something like that. But I think I'd rather just try to pay up for Verlander. You have to go below Verlander. You'll probably decide between Waka or Drew Smiley or Reed Detmers probably. So I guess Waka's more than Verlander. I got now, so yeah, it's probably Drew Smiley or Detmers, maybe. I think I lean Detmers in that, but I mean that is a huge risk taking him against this lineup. That I would just try to avoid it if possible. All right, over on the other side, we have Andrew Heaney at 8.4K. We know what kind of K upside he has, but I really don't like taking lefties against this Angels lineup. I mean, the only lefty he'll see is Ohtani. Outside of that, it's all righties. You can see his strikeout rate is significantly lower versus righties this season. Higher ISO numbers too. He absolutely dominates lefties, but like I said, he only sees one, and who's arguably one of the best hitters in the league. So I think I'm just going to be out on Heaney here as well. As for the Angels bats, they're certainly interesting. So I think I would lean just kind of a few one-offs though. I don't expect Heaney to get absolutely blown up here. We know he can, but seems to have kind of had more middle performances lately, which is not exactly like him. But I think you could chase a few home run bats here. And Trout, Drury, and Renfroe is where I'd look at. Wallach, if you need catcher, he's had crazy numbers this year. Neto's been on fire. I think a couple of those guys would be okay. I don't see myself getting to a full stack. It'd certainly be. Looks like it'd be pretty affordable though with Wallach, Neto, Renfroe, Drury, Trout, or Ward instead of one of those guys in the middle. So I wouldn't hate it if that's where you ended up, but definitely kind of a second tier stack for me on the slate. As for the Rangers against Detmers, they're always in play with the way they're playing right now. Let's see who jumps out. Detmers is struggles versus both sides of the plate, really. I'm kind of surprised his versus lefties is that bad. That puts Seager and Nathaniel Lowe in play. They both have good numbers, lefty. Really, everyone's in play. I wouldn't play Tavares. Just because, I mean, you're really just banking on a stolen base there. But, I mean, there's other guys you can play that have power and speed upside. I think anyone on the Rangers is in play. I definitely like them here in this spot. They're probably one of the top, just like pure projected offenses on the slate, just point wise. The prices are going to be tough, but might play around with it and see what kind of team you can get with the Rangers. Our next game we have Nats Astros, 2.87 total for the Nationals, 4.63 for the Astros. Josiah Gray, 6.6K versus Framber Valdez, 10.3K. The price on Josiah Gray is nice, only being 6.6K, but I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, I wouldn't expect much out of him here in this spot. His Ks have been down this year too, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it's only sitting at a 19% K rate. That was his only saving grace last year. Limited. It looks like he's limited power versus lefties, but he's only going to see Cal Tucker probably is the only lefty in there. So yeah, no interest in Gray. Over on the flip side, we have Framber Valdez. It's certainly going to be interesting. At that price really makes it a decision point though. Good to see his Ks are up 27%. We all know Nats very low K matchup, sub 20% on the season, but I think I still like Valdez. Looks like you're probably going to be deciding between like Glasnow, Castillo, Kershaw, Valdez, most likely. I'm going to try to pay up for Valdez, I think. At 10.3K, I mean, he's basically a lock for 25 points in this spot. If I'm not mistaken, he kind of got knocked around a little bit last time out. But I'm not too concerned about that. I like Framber a lot here in this spot. Yeah, the Blue Jays got him for 3 runs, but I still like Framber here. As for the Nats, no interest at all. Even if I don't play Framber, I'm not playing the Nats. I mean, Framber's such a big ground ball pitcher that it's just not worth it. Over on the Astros side, talked about Gray struggling versus righties. Full stack here, probably in play projection wise, but I still don't like stacking the bottom of this order. I think I'd really just go Altuve, Bregman, Tucker. One to three of those guys. Abreu's been playing better. See what Pena's price is, 4.4K. I really like Altuve at 4.5. I think that's a great one-off, no matter what you play. So that's where I stand, I guess, on the Astros. Next game we have Reds Royals, 4.5 total for each. Ben Lively 6.8K versus Daniel Lynch, 6.8K for Lively, 6.5 for Daniel Lynch. 84 degrees with wind blowing out. Is even more reason not to play these pitchers. Let's see if we can get it. Royals are going to be kind of a high K matchup, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 26%, but and Lively sitting around 25%. So a little bit better than I was expecting for him. He does perform better versus righties, but the righties he's going to see are Sal Perez and Bobby Witt, so two good hitters, obviously. And then I'm going to be out on Lively. I just don't think it's necessary here, especially in this weather. So going to be out there. As for Lynch, I probably like him more than Lively, but that doesn't certainly doesn't mean much. His K percentage is way up this year, 27%. He hadn't had many starts, so maybe just two. He's probably somewhere in the middle here. Maybe 22% is where he might end up at the end of the year. There's a higher K matchup here. De La Cruz doesn't have much plate appearances versus lefties, but it seems like he is going to be better batting from the left side against righties as opposed to batting right-handed. But that's something we'll just have to wait and see. So Lynch, if you have to go this cheap, sure, but it's just not going to be for me. As for the Reds, I do have interest in this weather, but maybe not in the full stack. Obviously, Newman, McLean, and Steer are jumping out at me. India and De La Cruz, I think you can play at any time. I am surprised India's numbers are that bad, though. Sure, if we put it on last year, it'd be better. Still low ISO numbers versus lefties. I'm kind of shocked at that. It's really just Steer, McLean are my two favorite. I think I could see mixing in either one of those, but I'm probably out on the full stack. As for Royals bats, really do like them here. Their price wise probably makes them kind of popular. Just because they're all, you can get a full stack pretty affordable. But I think for good reason. See, Lively, yeah, he's been better versus righties this year. So that probably put me out on like Garcia or Olivares, questionable. I think he's got a decent price. So I'm probably out on Garcia. Olivares at 2.5K is fine, even if Lively is better versus lefties, or better versus righties. Really like Melendez and Prado though, is I think where I would end up. And then Sal Perez and Bobby Witt are studs, and you can play them versus anybody. So I think the Royals be fairly popular just because of their price, but for good reason. It's probably just a matter of time before Lively starts giving up more runs. You see the hard hit percentage here is pretty high, so I could see the Royals at least getting a few off of them here in this spot. All right, next game we have Marlins and the Mariners. 2.92 total for the Marlins, 4.08 for the Mariners. Yuri Perez, 9K versus Luis Castilla, 9.8K. Probably going to be out on Perez. It's a higher K matchup here against Seattle. Been really good this series though. Perez, kind of, just slightly above average Ks. I think I'm going to be out on Perez. Kind of that price is part of it as well. 9K is kind of tough with the pitching we have on the slate, so I think I'm just going to be out. You see here, still hadn't eclipsed 90 pitches, so until that, he's not a 9K pitcher. So going to be out there. Stay on the other side. We've seen Mariners pitchers just carve up the Marlins this series. K rates are starting to climb up. They have a few low bats like Arias and Segura in there, but I mean there's high K rates all over the place here. Almost 30% K rate on the season for Castillo. So I think he's arguably my favorite play on the slate. I played Kirby last night and he dominated, was almost perfect through. Lost his perfect game, I think, in the 6th or something. So I think going to Castillo here, certainly a good play. He'll be fairly popular, but for good reason. He's in a great spot. As for hitters, no interest here in the Marlins. You could take Jesus Sanchez, would be massive leverage, but I mean, there's no reason to play any Marlins here. I mean, if Castillo went 6 innings, 6 Ks and 2 runs, the chalk wouldn't exactly smash technically, but that's just taking a wild guess on who actually gets who actually does the damage. So probably just gonna be out on the Marlins. As for the Mariners, Yuri Perez has been pretty solid. He doesn't go very deep. I don't think he's really gotten blown up either. Yeah, only four runs in one start. Other than that, 2 or less. So don't have a ton of interest here in the Mariners. Just looking at them, kind of tough to take guys versus righties. Kalinick has good numbers, and of course J-Rod does. I don't think Kalinick's done much the last month. Yeah, he's been really cold lately. So I think J-Rod would be the only guy I would consider, but kind of a tough spot for him. I think we have other guys we could go to that are in better spots. So probably just out completely on the Mariners. All right, next game we got Phillies Diamondbacks, 3.94 total for the Phillies, 4.56 for the Diamondbacks. Ranger Suarez, 5.6K versus Merrill Kelly, 9.6K. Probably going to be out on Suarez here. Don't see any need to go that cheap. He's been pretty bad this year as well. Sub 20% K rate. A really low strikeout team, 14% right now. I don't know if Kelly's 0 is factored in, but yeah, I mean, look at these Ks on the season. There's just no upside here. Even if he does decent and gives up, 1 or 2 runs, I think 5 Ks really is kind of his max. So no interest in Suarez. Merrill Kelly on the other side, he's been surprisingly good this year. K rate's taken a huge jump from 22 to almost 28%. Pitched well against Atlanta. Pitched well against Boston. So I think he can get Ks. Especially in this lineup, they got some high K guys. The only problem here is that Turner and Real Muto are finally starting to hit. That definitely scares me. At the beginning of the year, those guys were struggling, so the Phillies could be attacked. But I just don't see the need to go to Kelly here in this spot, especially at 9.6K. I mean, he's more expensive than Glass now, $200 cheaper than Castillo. I just don't see it. I don't think there's any need to go there. As for Phillies bats, Kelly might be good enough to kind of limit them a little bit. I think I might be out on the full stack. So I don't expect Turner's numbers to be that bad. So let's do current and last season kind of. Yeah, low power numbers for Turner against righties. I mean, you're kind of banking on a steal or 2 from him. Anyway, if he gets in there, Castillo or Castellanos, lower versus righties as well. So Schwarber, Harper, Real Muto is I think where I would end up as a one-off or so. If you need somebody, Kelly's good versus both sides, but this last year you could say he was worse versus lefties. So Schwarber and Harper, could hit a home run on anybody, and Real Muto's been absolutely on fire this series. So I think 1 to 3 of those guys will be fine. I just don't see myself getting to the full stack here on this slate. Over on the Diamondback side, Suarez can certainly be attacked. I do like the Diamondbacks decent amount here. See if we can get it pulled up. Suarez has really good numbers versus lefties. The only lefty he'll see though is Carroll and McCarthy, who are both have had McCarthy's numbers are great versus lefties. I was not expecting to see that. So probably just maybe a mini stack here with the Diamondbacks. Marte, Carroll. I prefer Gurriel versus righties actually, so maybe out on him. Walker, and then Longoria. Every time he's in there, he just smashes the ball. So I could see grabbing a couple of these guys. Full stack wise, they're kind of in the mix there with the Angels, I would say, whereas you can play them, but they wouldn't really be a priority. These prices are kind of tough too. So I really like Longoria though. He'd be my favorite, like one off there on that team. All right, we got a few games left. Next one's Guardians Padres, 3.59 total for the Guardians, 4.41 for the Padres. Aaron Savali, 7.7K versus Michael Walker, 8.2K. Not going to have any interest in Savali. We can just make that quick. He's a low K pitcher in a low K matchup. I mean, there's not much like here. There's a couple bats in here, I guess. If Carpenter is in there, it gets the strikeouts up a little bit. But I mean, the firepower at the top of this lineup, 17% K rate on the season, which has actually been decent. I mean, he hadn't given up a lot of runs, but the Ks just aren't there. So I don't think the upside's really there with Savali. So I'm going to be out on him. As for Waka, it's kind of just above average. Ks. We know this is a low K matchup with the Guardians, sub 20%. Walker's probably a safe play, I guess. But I just don't think the upside's there. I mean, I'd be shocked if he got 20. I could see him getting anywhere from like around 15, anywhere from like 12 to 18 points, probably, especially if he gets the win. But I'm probably just gonna be out on Walker. I'd rather just play Verlander. I think Verlander has more upside. As for the Guardians, Jose Ramirez is under 5K, which feels too cheap. Josh Naylor is in play. He was battling a wrist injury. I was watching the game the other day, and I had him, and about every swing he was holding his wrist. So that kind of makes me a little nervous. I mean, as long as they keep running him out there, I guess he's fine. But that is a little bit of a concern. Josh Bell's been on fire the last few games. I think I might just go Bell over Naylor if I had to, but that price on Jose Ramirez is way too cheap. So if you want kind of a unowned one-off, I think Ramirez is a good play. All right, as for the Padres, Savali's done decent on limiting other teams. Let's see exactly this game long. Yeah, you can see you got 4 runs, 1 start versus Mariners. Other than that, 0 both times out. So I'm leaning away from a full stack here. You can see his numbers last year were way worse. I think as he gets more innings, he'll probably normalize somewhere in the middle there. Soto is in play as always, and I'm not telling you anything new there. Sanchez has just been insane since he came over to San Diego. So I think just mix and match a few Padres if you can afford them. If you want to go full stack, mix in Odor, Grisham, Sanchez, and then 2 of the top 4 guys I'd be okay with to get a full stack. But I'd be shocked if Savali really got smacked around too much. I think 4 runs is probably kind of the 4 or 5 right where that team total's at is kind of what I would expect for the Padres, and that's not going to win it for you on a 12-game slate. So probably out on the full stack. All right, next game we got Rays, A's, 5.41 total for the Rays, 3.09 total for the A's. Tyler Glasnow 9.4K versus Luis Medina 5.3. The only question with Glasnow is how far will he pitch in the game. If he was on full leash, he would be the absolute best play on the slate. No question about it. Almost 28% K rate for the A's. Glasnow's, going to be 35% K rate. Absolute stud, but how far will he go is the question. 88 and 83 is the last 2 times out. There's probably another start in there, but I don't think he eclipsed 90. You can see, though, he doesn't need many pitches to put up a good score. So I would think he's probably 90 to 95 pitches, and that's probably good enough on this slate. The problem with the Rays, they're just going to baby him. They're most likely going to make the playoffs with the record they have right now. So having him in the playoffs is more important than having him pitch 1 extra inning here in this spot. So he's probably max 6 innings would be my guess. But I mean, that 6 innings is probably good enough. So that's kind of my decision I'm gonna have to make between like Kim and Castillo. Or you can just play them both. But between like Castillo, Valdez, and Glasnow, I would likely play 2 of those guys. Verlander's in the mix. Kershaw we'll get to is in the mix, but it's just a pitch count thing with Glasnow. If you play him, just know he's coming out. If he's at 88 pitches through 6, he's coming out of the game. But I think he has enough firepower to get it done in that time. All right, Luis Medina versus the Rays. Absolutely no interest. Not playing him. He might even have an opener, so we're going to skip over that. As for the Rays bats, I would be shocked if they get swept in Oakland, so I expect them to come out firing today. Problem is the pricing. I mean, you can see here, these guys are just super, super expensive. So the full stack is going to be tough, especially if we're paying up twice at pitching. So I just doubt I'll play the Rays full stack. Medina struggles versus both sides, getting pounded by righties. That puts Paredes in play. Is he any cheaper? We need somebody that's cheap. He's 4K. So I could see mini stack for the Rays. I mean, I expect them to do well. It's just a matter of paying for them is going to be tough. So just see what you can fit in. They're in an awesome spot, even in this ballpark. I wouldn't mind taking some Rays here. As for Oakland, no interest. I mean, Glasnow is going to shove. It's just a matter of how many innings he goes. Even if he goes 5 innings, 2 runs, then you have to face the Tampa bullpen, which would likely shut down the A's as well. So no interest for me in the Rays. I mean, I want to take an absolute dart throw, Seth Brown, I guess, but that's just not gonna interest me at all. All right, last game we got White Sox Dodgers. 3 total for the White Sox, 5.5 for the Dodgers. Mike Clevenger 6K versus Clayton Kershaw 10.8K. I'm gonna have no interest in Clevenger either here in this spot. His Ks are way down. He had some good K numbers, I thought, when he was with Cleveland a few years ago, but 20% K rate against the Dodgers is not going to cut it. So no interest in Clevenger. As for Kershaw, certainly have interest here. You can see his Ks are back up. Really low K rate versus lefties, which is kind of hard to believe. I wouldn't expect that to continue. You can see 25% last year. So I would expect that to creep back up, although his K percentage versus righties is a little high as well. So I would expect that to kind of meet in the middle and kind of go back towards where he was last year. But this is a great K matchup for him here, especially with how well he's doing versus righties right now. He's going to see almost like 9 righties in this matchup. But probably has more K upside than Valdez. It might just have a little more risk with kind of running into a few home runs or something, especially with like Robert and Jake Berger. But I think he's right there in that mix with Valdez. For me, it's just a matter of paying up for him. I think he should be less owned than Castillo and Glasnow. I'd expect Castillo and Glasnow to be 30 to 40% owned, with Framber and Kershaw being in the 20 to 30% range. So if you like Kershaw here, I tend to agree with you. Like I said, he's struggled a little bit, well, at least just K wise. I mean, he's still mowing down lefties, 0.067 ISO. He's going to see 9 righties here, so it's certainly a good K matchup for him. As for hitters, I mean, you could try to take a shot at a home run with Berger or Robert, but that's certainly risky, and you're probably just taking on more risk than it's worth. I mean, yeah, they might hit a home run, but I don't think it's necessarily worth it. I mean, they'll be 0% owned. So take that for whatever you want. As for the Dodgers against Clevenger, Dodgers are always in play. We know that. Let's see, 62 degrees, so certainly a cooler matchup here. Let's see how Clevenger's done. Yeah, limited, only giving up more than 4 runs once this year, it looks like. So maybe out on the full stack here. Definitely worse versus lefties. Seem to have limited power versus righties a little bit. So I think I would just hang out in the top of the order here. Since I don't love the full stack, I probably won't go to the bottom of the order. What's Outman's price? 3.6. He's finally back down to a reasonable price. So Outman would be the only guy at the bottom I would consider, but it's a pretty high K rate for him. So I think, just stay up here at the top of the order. Yeah, I'd probably just play Hayward. Yeah, 1.1K cheaper than Outman and batting 4th. If he ends up batting 4th, I love that spot for Hayward. And of course, Betts, Freeman, JD Martinez are in play every slate. So, all right, I think that's it. Real quick, we have a lot of pretty good teams. I don't know if anyone really jumps out stack wise. As for pitchers, I think we have Castillo, Glasnow, Framber, and Kershaw as probably the top projected pitchers. I think I'll probably be playing 2 of those 4. If I don't, it'll most likely be where's he at? It'll most likely be Verlander against the Yankees. That's certainly some risk there. You're really just banking on Verlander being his old self. But I think I'm willing to risk that. If I can't afford to pay up twice, I'll probably end up on Verlander. Cole would be the ultimate unowned high upside pitcher, but the K's just aren't there for me this year. I think I'm going to be out. And as for cheap, I really don't like anyone cheap. Maybe Smiley or Detmers. Detmers might have more upside, but taking him versus Texas is certainly risky. So I think I'll probably just pay up twice. As for hitters, Red Sox versus Gomber, in a great spot. Couple one-offs here and there on some of these other teams we mentioned. Texas against Detmers is in play as a full stack as well. They're always in play. I think the value stack is going to be Kansas City against Lively. You could take a few Astros. We talked about them as well. Really about it. So I guess the Padres, Rays, and Dodgers would be expensive, but they're in great spots. So Kansas City has the value stack, and then Red Sox and Rangers are kind of all that's jumping out to me right now. But we talked about a few other teams like the Angels, Diamondbacks, maybe even like the Blue Jays, Cubs against this guy for the Pirates. I don't know much about, so I think there's going to be ownership's going to be pretty spread out. Seems like everyone's just kind of in decent spots, but no one like really just blowing it away. So I think you could kind of go where you want, take the pitchers you want, and you should be able to find a stack that's mid owned or so. It's not too chalky. So I hope that helps. Good luck, everybody. If we do have a Discord for some of the listeners, if you want to get in that, just send me a message on Twitter or something. It's no groundbreaking information or anything. Just kind of talk about the slate, talk about prop betting a little bit, underdog and prize picks. So just let me know if you want to join that. We're happy to let new folks in. So yeah, if you could hit the like, subscribe button, that would help me out a lot. I'll see you at the top.